Awesome. Thank you so much, Loring. And the Work Out Loud platform is doing a fantastic job working closely with the M3 user group here in the US. So thank you for everything that you do. I see a huge momentum with Muga and the platform just coming fresh from the M3 user group conference over in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Huge success. So again, thank you. And thank you everybody for joining this session. We are super excited about talking about the future of output management, InterForm. And before we kick it off here, I would like to just share quickly about the presenters of this session. Myself, I am Caroline Jaiborn. I'm the Vice President of Business Line M3 here in North Americas. Work closely with M3 customers all over and been very much involved in the M3 user group community for the past 13, 14 years or so. With me, I have our head of global pre-sales solution director, Mats Stenby. He is currently in Paris. This guy is traveling all over the world all the time, meeting with our customers and prospects. And then I also have Hans Möller Hansen, who is going to be the presenter today in terms of InterForm. Principal consultant, solution architect, very knowledgeable in InterForm that you will learn more about in a very short bit. Between myself and Mats, we're trying to make this a little bit of an interactive session. We want to obviously have questions, so please fire away in the little window that Loring was talking about. But before we get started, let's just talk real quick about Columbus for those of you who are new to us. So Columbus is actually headquartered in Copenhagen, Denmark. We are a public company, so we're on the stock market. We have about 1,700 employees, and we are also Infor's biggest alliance partner in the world. We're operating in 10 countries. We have over 300 consultants in Business Line M3. We've been doing this for a very, very long time. So it says 20 years, but I'm sorry, guys, we're probably 25 years or more doing this. We do everything from AMS support, we do integrations, we do net new implementations, upgrades. We work with all these cool applications like InterForm, and for those of you who visited Muga, we work with Novacura, we work with Medius for AP automation, Vince Excel, a ton of other applications as well. Within Columbus, we have different business lines. So for instance, we also work with Microsoft. We have a big team working with e-commerce, different e-commerce platforms, CRM systems, BI, and of course, data and analytics. I don't know, Mats, is there anything you want to add in terms of what we do? Because there's a lot coming out of Columbus.
Yeah, I think you covered it pretty well, Caroline. We're, of course, an Infor M3 practice in our team, but we really put a lot of effort into driving these solutions that add that little extra to the Infor Cloud Suite that we find a lot of our customers actually need to really drive maximal value or overcome the challenges that they see. And that's also why we're here today, right, Hans?
Yeah. So.
And Hans, where are you today? Because you're also traveling.
Yeah, I'm in Prague, in Czech Republic, actually training some of our consultants on the InterForm platform, getting ready for even more customers coming in. So we get new requests every single week. So
that is cool. That's super cool. And yes, after the Muga conference, we've had a lot of reach out from customers about this. So we're super, super curious and obviously very happy to have this presentation in place today. So should we fire away?
Yeah. First, I'll just start presenting myself. My name is Hans. I'm from Denmark, and I've been doing output management for M3 for the last 13 years. So at the beginning, I started working with StreamServe, OpenStack StreamServe. I've been working with the Extreme platform. I've been working with IDM output management. I was on the first cloud projects in Scandinavia, doing IDM documents and archiving for that. And the last 3 years, I've been working on the InterForm platform. Apart from working as a consultant on output management, I'm also team lead in our competence groups. So that means all our output consultants, we meet up once every month. We discuss news, we discuss how we do things. So I take the lead on that. And then I have a small team in Denmark doing output management, integrations, and usability on M3 Cloud Suite. So, and the reason I'm here to talk about InterForm and this is because of my experience with both StreamServe and the IDM platform. I was actually missing a few things when I work in both platforms. I'll get back to that. But I actually want to present InterForm, the company, because you might not know much about InterForm. You might have heard the name now since Muga, but InterForm is it's actually a Danish company, and they have done output management for 25 plus years. That can't even make it since 87, it says here, and that's all they're doing. They're doing output management every single day. All the consultants, all their developers, they only have one product, and that's InterForm, and they put all their time into making that a great experience for their customers. They've been partners with Info for 25 years, and that is on many different platforms. So they actually have 800 customers running some kind of Info platform, LN, LX, S21, whatever they're called. So this year, their partnership is actually expanding. They are Info's taking in InterForm as an official M3 partner as well. So they've been partners on the other platforms, on the other systems for a long, long time. But now it's also recognized by the M3 part of Info. So that's really, really great.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yep.
Yeah. So why are we talking about InterForm? Well, we kind of have two ways to go when we're talking about output management. One is what comes with the ERP system. We have that Info Cloud Suite. We got the IDM. It's part of the whole suite. It's built in. You don't pay extra to run IDM. So that's great because, well, it's the vendor that give us, what we need. They know how their system works and everything. That's really good. But that also means we get into tech silos that for M3 we're running IDM for output. For our VMS system we might run something else. So that is one thing. We're going to end up having many different output systems depending on where we bought our VMS system, where we bought our M3 or ERP system, where we bought some other systems, and we might even have more than one ERP system. Another thing is, like Info, like the ERP vendor, their prime focus is doing a great ERP system, and maybe not that much on output management. So that means we often end up having limited possibilities, limited toolbox for actually doing our output management. So it's very much into the way that Info is doing their processes. And if you don't fit into that, it becomes a bit harder to get out of their thoughts and maybe override the logic that Info thought that everyone needed. So the other side of this is standalone solutions. We know them, at least the people who are running M3 on premise or used to do that. They know StreamServe very, very well, I would say. and StreamServe is a great tool, but again, complexity, costs. The StreamServe licenses might be tied to your M3, so you cannot use that for your VMS system, even though you would like to, and it's technically possible. You cannot do that because of the OEM license that comes with M3/StreamServe. We often get to do things more times again, like, you know, different systems. We might not be able to use it. It becomes complicated quite often. So we have to choose between the two. And really what we want is, we want to make sure that we choose the right tool. So what is the right tool when we talk about M3? Well, that depends on your business and the need in your business. And that's what I'm going to talk about. But before I show you the use cases, the business cases I have from different customers, and tell you what this actually solved with these solutions, I just want to say, what do I think is the right tool for you? I think it is something where we can use the same system for all our output needs. Do it whether it is on-prem or in cloud. We should of course support those formats, whether it's input or output, but the formats you need to do that output that you need to do. And this is what I think is the most important, it needs to be easy to learn, because we want you to be able to do like the simple things yourself. Some of my customers can do the advanced stuff themselves, but we want that. But we also know that employees move around, so we need to make sure that we don't have one guy who knows everything about that one system, and if he's off one day, he's sick or something, nothing works anymore because he's the only one running the platform. So it's really important it's something that is intuitive, easy to learn. Part of that is the low code, no code setup. So this is some of the things you get with InterForm. Also, what we need is, of course, to support the thoughts that Info has put into doing output for M3. I mean, Info have some ideas. They built IDM, they built the templates in IDM, and that supports all the business logic that M3 is doing. So if you are going to have pre-text, post-text, line charges, whatever, that's all built into IDM templates. So that's actually where Info is publishing, if I can call it like that, the new features for a document. So what we want to be able to do is to take that logic and in no time put that into our output system. So we have in InterForm, we have a conversion tool that can actually take the IDM templates, take all the logic from that, and convert that into an InterForm template. And then we can start working with more things. So,
Hans, can I just comment? You mentioned before some of the challenges, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about something like user adoption of these platforms. You know, the IDM, StreamServe, OpenText, and then InterForm, and then of course you also have the complexities in there. Can you say something about that and how, you know? What's your thoughts on that? Because I know that in some projects there is a lot of time put into actually working with these solutions, and it becomes, seemingly like a very complex solutions that people end up with.
Yeah. If we start with StreamServe, I think it's the OpenText platform is huge, and when we do M3 output management, we only do like a very small part of what we can actually do with OpenText. That is because of the licenses, but it's also because that OpenText is much more than just generating and distributing documents. So that means it's actually a very large installation. It's a very large and complex setup because it can do so much more than what we really need. And also, I normally say that when I train people to work in StreamServe, I spend about 6 months, having them on my side, helping them to understand how are we actually doing this. So the consultants I've trained on StreamServe, well, I'll never let them be alone working for a customer for the first 6 months. That's kind of like how long it takes to get started on these things, working StreamServe. The other one, the IDM solution, and that's at least all of you in cloud will have that solution. The designer is called Word. We all know Microsoft Word, right? So it sounds very easy. We work, everyone here, I guess, is working with Word every single day, doing documents. But doing business documents for an ERP system is something completely different from just writing a letter or writing a report or doing some documentation with some screenshots, because you have all those repeating sections inside that document. So Info built this plugin, put that on top, and then we have repeating sections. We have tables, and because Word is not really built for this kind of things, the plugin makes up for that. But we need to build things in a lot of tables inside Word, and that becomes a bit tricky to do. And I guess you all tried to do something in a table, and you found out, oh, I want something in the middle of that. That can be quite hard to do. On top of that, there's new features for doing scripting, but it's complex to actually move things around. It's complex to do the logic you don't want. You don't have that great cross-document functionality where you can kind of build a function that works across, like you do in StreamServe, for instance. So that means you often end up having a very long document with a lot of logic that you don't really see or know when they're triggered or not triggered, and it just takes forever to work on that. Don't have any comment tool so you can actually comment your code or the logic that you build. So that takes quite some time working in Word. So, or IDM, I should say. Did that answer your question, Mads?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Great.
So there are definitely things to think about there in terms of choosing the right platform.
Yeah.
The adoption, how many changes you want to have, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Should be part of that evaluation.
But also, now I'll talk a bit about IDM again. Also, when you have, one thing is doing the layout, the design, and working in Word. Another thing is you're tied to the process that Info defined. So you set up your M3, you choose your medias in MNS205, you have connected your template in the service in MNS216, all those things. And when you then do the printout, it goes to IDM. IDM creates the PDF file, goes on, and you can archive it, print it, or you could send by email. And that's it. You cannot do anything else. And it's all defined only by the media section in your XML out file. So if you have needs to do something else, you would have to either do integrations using the whole ION platform, or you would have to choose a third-party product. So what do you actually get with InterForm? Well, first of all, you got that complete control of your process. When InterForm receives the XML file, you decide what happens to that XML file. Is it just following the normal M3 process of sending an email, or do we actually have some conditions? We can control that. Do we have exceptions that we don't want this one going out? We don't want in our TRN system that email go out to our customer. Then we can put in a filter in our data flow of that XML file and say this one is not to be sent unless it's a whitelisted domain for the mail address. We also can work with any format data kind of things, JSON, XML, and that's because you don't only have printout needs from M3. you also have your VMS system or your PIM system or some other system. You might also have another ERP system, Microsoft, for instance. We support all that with the InterForm platform. So we could actually consolidate, put everything into the same platform and work with that. So we talked about users before, we only need to learn one tool and not learn like 5 different ERP or output management systems. The platform, the InterForm setup, it's scalable, it's modular, so it means we have different modules depending on what you actually need for this. And then we put in these content packets. So we built one for M3, but there are other content packets out there. And it looks like this. So the 2 blue ones, when we're talking M3, we're talking the prime service that we are doing in Columbus. We deliver a platform, it's InterForm. And then we deliver the content packets. And that's all set up to actually do all the things IDM does. Create a layout that looks the same as the IDM, that works the same way, has the same features, in regards to printout, but also does the IDM archiving or send the email or do the printout. We can do exactly what IDM do with this content package. It's all built in, works on-prem and in cloud. And then we can add on other things. So we have all the other things, and if you don't need that, many of you might notice the Excel plugin here or Excel module. Well, IDM is actually really, really great at doing the Excel part. It's also a simpler kind of layout, so you'll not need that one. So we haven't put that in to the M3 content package. It's something you can buy if you find the need for this, or if one of your other systems needs to do printouts in Excel format. Well, then you could add that to the package. So
yeah, and hence I think one thing that you haven't mentioned yet, but that I remember from having worked with both IDM and actually also with to some extent with the open text platforms together with M3, is the logging functionality and overview. The fact that it's a platform where it's really easy to follow the trace of what is actually happening with this data file until it becomes a document and gets distributed to the final destination.
Yeah,
that's something that has been challenging me a lot in other platforms over the years, but where I see that InterForms delivers a end-to-end logging functionality that is really easy to use, right?
Yeah. So if you're doing printouts with StreamServe, you see a long text files and just a lot of things going on in that text file, and you don't really know what part of the process unless you put in even more log statements to actually put in some dividers into that log file. It can become quite complex to read that one. With the IDM solution, it's actually kind of hidden behind everything. So things are going on in M3, but other things are going on in documents archived, the job document, not the real PDF file, but things are archived showing what it should do behind everything. So you might have to open like 3, 4, 5 hidden documents inside IDM to actually follow what's going on. With the InterForm package, I don't have a screenshot, sorry about that, but with the InterForm, you actually get one log line in their log, an entity, and each element in our data flows, in our document workflows, shows what's going on. So if you change something, if you do a condition, you would have that as a module, a thing you can click on and see what happened in that stage of that one particular job.
Basically, it looks like one view of Iron for the ones that are working with integrations in InfoOS. So it's kind of similar functionality, but hence, why don't we move on and have a look at some of the examples of where this platform and solution has really made a difference to some businesses?
Yeah. So the first one, we've already been talking a bit about this one, but it's really, you see on the top, we have our ERP system. We have an output connected to that one. We have our warehouse management system, another output system for that. We might have a label system doing labels in production. We have our PM. We might have another one. All these silos, tech silos, depending on where did you actually buy your system, and did it come with an output management system, or did you buy an add-on to fix this? It is, I mean, you're going to spread that technology out. You're going to have a lot of servers running, or have a lot of services you bought in the cloud, and you need people to actually understand all these things. So we go from the top one to the bottom one, where we could put InterForm underneath everything, because it supports the XML files, TXT, JSON, CSV files, all kinds of inputs. So really what we give you here is any need you have, as long as you have some structured data, put it into InterForm, and we can deliver whatever you want of printout.
And just circling back here, actually, to what I mentioned before on the user adoption, one major benefit here would be that then you only need to learn one output solution, right? You don't need to learn a handful of different solutions for producing output for different IT systems, which of course makes it easier to onboard new employees. It makes it easier to monitor everything. So I think that's pretty cool. But I see here on the slide here, Hans, you have quite some bold statements down in the left-hand corner about the cost picture of choosing InterForm over IDM, I suppose, here in terms of the implementation. Yeah.
Well, first of all, you don't need multiple output servers. You could just run all in one installation. Again, depending, of course, on how many documents and the need, and there are many things. I don't want to go into that. But also, you know, it's very fast working and trying out things, but you could also consolidate. So you might have those two ERP systems. You could actually put that into the same template and have just one design for the data coming from two systems. That could go for the label printout as well. But also, if you have an issue about output management and something's not working, you don't have to find out which system failed. You just go one place. That saves a lot of time, just going into one system and see what's going on in that one system. So yeah, that's so much easier.
A game changer. A game changer.
Yeah, but also, I mean, you create your printer setup in one place. If it works for one output, it would work for all the other outputs as well. I mean, you don't have to do that double effort because you're having one common system for your output. Yeah. I'll find another case. And this example, it actually comes from a German customer. They are doing a big rollout in Europe right now. They're going to end up having 600 stores around Europe, hardware stores. But imagine you just bought something and you are at the counter and you're paying, and the guy at the counter, he presses the button in M3 saying, okay, you're going to have your invoice. And then we wait. And we wait. And you look at the clock and it's been more than 30 seconds. And now the printer starts. That was the reality for this German customer for their first shop. So when they did this rollout, they did the user acceptance test, they did all the major things. They found out, oh, we couldn't do this. It takes approximately 30 seconds for every printout. I don't know if you'll be happy waiting there, or you'll be happy actually sitting at the counter and servicing your customers this way. So we did a proof of concept on InterForm, and we got that down till approximately 10 seconds. And 5 of those seconds is actually the printer after it received the job, where it actually warms up and starts printing the job. So we took basically 20-25 seconds off the whole process by introducing InterForm.
From the point you actually printed the document until you had people had it in their hands, then
Yeah, it's 10 seconds
okay.
now and not 30.
Okay. So how come you have been able to achieve that kind of speed in the InterForm solution and not with what the customer was using beforehand?
Yeah, they were using IDM before, and it is. Remember when I talked about InterForm as a company, they do output and only output. They know about technology. They know about how do we do this the most efficient way. So it's about scaling down the load of data that we send between systems. But it's also finding out where do we actually install our output management system so it's most efficient when you do the printouts. And it's not installing it far out in a cloud server. It's actually installing it as close as possible to your printers. That's one thing. Another thing is to talk with the printers in their native language. And what do I mean by that? I mean, if you have a PCL printer, why not print in the PCL? And it becomes even more clearly when you do zebra printouts or label printouts. Because if you send a PDF file, which is what IDM does to a CPL printer, then it actually has to read that PDF file as an image and just scale that down or make sure it fits on that label. Where with the CPL language, you just talk in the printer's native language. So you just tell it to do a barcode of this type with this data, nothing else, and it would just work by instructions instead. That's way, way faster. I talked about 10 seconds for that German customer, but when I do my benchmarking on Zebra printers, 4.5 seconds, then I have the first label. And if I do like multiple labels with the same content, I have 20 labels in, I would say, less than 10 seconds. It takes no time to do that kind of printout. So it's really about having the right architecture, the right infrastructure behind how we can do that. And these are some of the things we can do. So depending on your needs, we set up InterForm in a way and in a place where you get the optimal setup for the speed you need.
Okay, so I guess the point here is if you're sending the invoice by email, this is not really important, but if you have a customer in the store and people are lined up in a queue, you don't want to have to hang around and wait for this process to execute while everyone is losing their patience and leaving the goods in the store because they simply can't wait for a printer to do its job.
But you also want the package label. As soon as you click the button in M3, you finish a delivery or something, you want the package label. Like now and not like in 30 or 1 minute, 30 seconds or 1 minute. You want it immediately. So it gives a better experience.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Good.
Now, this is also a label. It is from Waterworks. We actually had this one on the Muga presentation last Wednesday. Adam was talking a lot about this, and this is an example where he's not doing this label design himself. It's something that FedEx does, and he has to get that label from FedEx and print it on his Zebra printer. So FedEx has this what you call web portal where you could actually go and get your things. And how do we then do that? Well, first of all, when he completes his things inside M3, he completes the delivery, there's an integration sending an e-shipping notice, and he get an API feedback, he get information about the shipment. That is then passed on to InterForm. InterForm does the login to that web portal. It gets that PDF file returned. In this case, it is a PDF file. That's something that FedEx chose to do. But we get that, and we just have InterForm do the printout. on the label printer. Again, we talked, the first slide we had as examples, we talk about silos. We're actually using the same printer setup, the same Zebra printer that he would use for his M3 printouts on the same platform. It's still InterForm doing it just does a web lookup, get the file and print that one. But we're printing with the same software. We're printing with the same system all the time. So, and
this process could be triggered from within M3 as well, right? So when you do this final dispatch, or when you've done packaging in M3, status goes up, then a ping would go to InterForm to actually go to FedEx and retrieve the information needed to do the label, right?
Exactly.
So it's this three-way communication where you make it all happen and pull information from outside to support the M3 process itself.
Exactly. Another example from Adam at Waterworks. I guess you don't have all your data in your ERP system. You might have a lot of data in your ERP system, but some of you also have a PIM system where you might have more information on your items, on all the things you sell. And that's also the case for Waterworks. They have a homegrown system where they have all the more advanced attributes and stuff that doesn't really fit into M3. And I actually think most of the things they keep in that system has no space in M3. We can't find anywhere to put it there. So, but he needs to do this product label, and he needs to put that information. We just let M3 do what M3 does. It triggers a printout when that's needed, and then during that data flow inside InterForm, he does an API call to his own homegrown system, retrieves the remaining parts of information for that label, puts it together. The designer doesn't see where the data comes from. It just merges it together, and we do the label printout, the product label. So the need here is really to have data from not just M3, but have it from different systems. And it's done in a quite simple workflow where we just do that one API call to get that data from the other system. Yeah.
Good.
Then let's go on to this one. This is also an American company, water supply company from Wisconsin. They had a big problem because they are doing a lot of building materials and stuff like that, and many of their orders are spread on multiple deliveries. Not just one or two deliveries, but they could have 5 deliveries on the same order. Or even more. Big problem for them was the customer didn't know how much did they actually receive. They know they put in an order last week, but what did they actually receive? What is on the next shipment or on this shipment, and what is to come maybe next week? No one had that overview. Of course, we can see that in M3 because we can see this in the order lines in M3, but we don't have a document that could actually show us this information. So the delivery note, it shows some information, but not really every single one. So we did a little proof of concept to begin with. We played around with things, and we actually ended up having an event trigger inside M3 that is triggered at the right time when they're doing the delivery. It triggers, and then IEC collects all the data, pushes it to InterForm, and we do that printout. when they close the delivery that they're doing right now. And all we're doing is we're getting the information from line, showing how much are actually connected to this order, how much have we already delivered, how much are we delivering today, and what are remaining, and what is the estimated shipment date for that.
So when you're saying the IEC gathered data, so this is not a regular M3 document then,
no,
using the MNS outputs, etc.,
no,
CMS programs and all that.
So this is not an OIS something or MMS or whatever we call all these documents. This is a document where we use ION, we use the API gateway to connect to InterForm and push the data. And we can do that with any system. So this is what we've done. And I remember when we went live with this one, it's about a year ago, we went live with this one. And I was really nervous because we're doing a lot of these printouts every single day. They do many, many orders. So this comes out with every single document that they're doing. Some of them are actually sent by email. Some of them are printed and is delivered together with the goods. Anyway, it was like 3 hours after we went live, the first customer responded to Warsaw saying, now that was good service. Now they actually know what's going on. So they were left out in the blind before, but now they got this order status and actually was able to track every single order and understand how much have we delivered. So it was really, really good go live day. So, and I haven't actually touched this document for a year now, so it's running smoothly, doing hundreds and hundreds of printouts every day for this one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Another one. This is a delivery label, or MWS 485. A lot of you are using this one, I guess. Problem for Waterworks, again, Waterworks. Problem for them was it was triggered by M3 too late in the process. This is room labels. For those of you who don't know Waterworks, they're doing a lot of things for kitchens and bathrooms and stuff. And when you are doing a house, building a house or something, it's important that they actually deliver their goods into the right rooms, so that you don't have to reorganize everything. But they need this, they call it a room label. They need to put that one on their items before they actually pack this. But the MWS 485 is just triggered too late. It's triggered when you do the packing, and then you put it outside the package. They need this one to go inside the package. So again, how we're doing this, M3 event trigger, IEC pushing it through the ION API gateway, just like we did with the order status document for Warsaw. We trigger it at the right place. So having a system like this, we can actually trigger your printout when you need that. So that meant that they didn't have everything closed and had to open up the box and put that label when it was printed, but they actually can do that before they put the goods into the boxes and close them. So made a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
I guess when they do this, it's so that people don't have to sort all the goods when they receive them on the building site to go into the right room site.
Yeah.
So you said building a house, but I can imagine if you're building a hotel, this is going to make a huge difference in terms of the manual labor that needs to take place on the building site itself.
Yeah.
So I can imagine this really matters for the end customers, that they get the service correctly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Good.
And that actually gets us to my last example for using InterForm for output management. This is from a Danish customer. They're producing meat. It's a slaughterhouse. They are cutting up a lot of meat, and every single thing is divided into lots and sublots. And to the left here, where it says copy, this is the result they could get working with IDM. And they put a lot of hours into this, and this was the best result they had. A lot of lines with all this information. What they really wanted to do was to group the data, sort it correctly, make it easy for their customers to see what are we actually delivering on this one, how many things are on each batch or each lot. So this was done with InterForm. And it actually took the InterForm consultant about 3 hours to understand the problem and do this layout. It is to be said that there was the example to the left. People had been working that 2-3 months back and forth, trying out things, not getting anywhere. 3 hours, and we got the weight specification that we have to the right.
So this is also where you really, this is a good example of what you said before, with, having lower implementation costs, having the right tool makes everything easier, right? I think everyone knows that from when they're doing a little DIY at home, if you have the right tool, it's a lot easier and a lot faster to get by and get things done.
Definitely is, but one thing is, because what I hear from customers often is, but we're only setting up the document once until you need to do a change. But another thing is, look at the readability on these two documents. Their customer needs to have this one. And now you mentioned building a hotel before for waterworks. They actually have a similar example of this, where they actually, on the delivery, they sort things by room. So they know exactly which room to put things into. They could even do their loading list where it's sorted by room. We don't have that feature in M3, but InterForm could do that sorting before we do the printout. So if we look at the room specification, if you should call that at Waterworks, it will say bathroom number 1, bathroom number 2, etc., and it would just list all the items that goes into that room. Again, manual labor, as you said, they could just put that in the right room from the beginning because they have a list of these informations.
Yeah.
Great. So with M3, we have built a package. We have a lot of documents. We are mimicking the IDM logic, so we can do the same. We have a lot of great features. But we also have a user group, and we have InterForm has a Success Academy where you actually get access to a lot of training material on how to work with InterForm. But I want to emphasize the user group because we meet up every second month discussing how are we actually going to use InterForm. Does someone have good ideas? Are we missing something? Is there something we're doing bad? Is there something we're doing good? And we take that into considerations when developing the M3 packets. But also InterForm is part of this. And last year they did 8 new features only because of the user group, request from the user group.
Oh, that's awesome.
So our philosophy is to do something that is plug and play, but give you all the options of working with a great tool where you can do more stuff than you could do with the IDM solution. We want to give you the full control. We have always like fallback logic. So if you do a configuration in InterForm, that's what it's going to do. If you don't do anything or take it away, it falls back to the logic coming from M3. And then the last one on this one, we do this together. We have the user group. We want to improve. So we don't want you to be alone. We want to be part of this. It's also building a huge community around this. So that was the end of my presentation for today. I don't know if we have any questions. We can wait just a second for that. But before we get to that, send us a PDF file, IDM template, XML file, whatever, and we can show you how we can actually convert that document into InterForm in no time, and how we could work with your cases, with your challenges on output management. So give us any challenge you could come up with on output management.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Hans. And actually there is a question here, and it's actually about if there's a chance you could put together a demo. I know we didn't have enough time today to actually dig into the program and see it live, but I would say, Hans, yes, definitely. In terms in combination to your challenge reach out here, we could definitely do that. Also have another question in terms of the implementation process here, and do we have an idea how long of a project this is and so forth?
Well, of course, it depends on how much you want done, but the German customer I talked about, they had to go live 1st of February. I started doing documents at the end of October for them. We did 3 documents, order confirmation, invoice, and a picking list. And really, the testing is the slowest part of this. I spent about 20 hours converting it from IDM to InterForm and cleaning up the stuff in the documents, do a few modifications, but about 20 hours on those 3 documents, and we will run them in InterForm and not in IDM.
Oh, okay, great.
So it wasn't a huge job, but again, it depends on your mindset. Are you willing to? Do you already have something in IDM, or are you moving from streams to cloud? Then it's kind of another. It's another game then. But reach out and we can see what is it that you actually want to do, and we can do an estimation on that. And
how is the pricing model here in terms of how subscription and so forth is set up?
Yeah, we have. I would say there are three prices you need to be aware of. There's the platform itself, that is a subscription model. Then we have the content package, that's also a subscription, a monthly subscription. And then we have a one-time fee, and that one-time fee covers the basic installation and setup both in M3 and InterForm, meaning we help you do the installation, get things up running, making sure that you can do the mail output, that we are connected to IDM. So the whole, I say that you can live in the solution with that setup. You can actually do your M3 printouts. They might not have the look that you want, but you can do the emailing, you can do the archiving, you can do the printout when we finish that, and that's included in the one-time fee.
So that means basically for a fixed fee, you get up and running and get sort of the same starting point as you would have if you go on a new installation with IDM.
Yeah.
And all the layouts there.
Yeah.
Up and running, ready to go.
Yeah, exactly.
And Hans, this is on the InterForm M3 marketplace?
Yeah, it is. It's on the marketplace. And of course, you could also reach out. It's possible also to do like what you call that. You can download a trial version of InterForm and actually try out a few things yourself. You don't get the package for that, but you can try the platform. But we are doing, once in a while, we do a proof of concept just to show that we can actually do these things. And some of these proof of concepts, I mean, we do the setup in less than a day, and we're ready to actually do the first printouts. So
yeah, I've seen it, and it's actually pretty impressive. So if any one of you out there are currently sitting and struggling with a specific document, I highly encourage you to challenge Hans and take him up on this, because it's actually pretty cool how fast he can turn things around here with the platform.
Mm-hmm. Good. Awesome. Well, thank you. I don't know, Mas, any last comments from you before we close this session?
No, I think Hans, you covered it, and it's on the marketplace, right? So everyone can go and have a look. It's easy to get in contact with us either directly via mail or on the marketplace. And I can encourage people to have a look at what other solutions Columbus has put out on the marketplace to sort of fill the gaps where good enough is not good enough for you. But yeah, I think it's all good.
Yeah,
ready to go.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Hans, for the presentation. We're definitely looking forward to hear from all of you. This is super exciting, and as you heard here, there's definitely a lot to gain by using InterForm. So again, everybody, thank you so much. We will be sharing this information. I think Loring shared at the beginning of this session. And everyone, have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.